Dave McGill sent me a photo that he wanted us to give him some ideas of how to correct a few issues on it. And Colin's going to do an intro first on what his take on it was, and then I'll do a bit on what I come up with. So over to you, Colin.
Have you got it on the screen now?
Yes, on the screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, sorry,
No.
Colin, just before you start, just one thing. Dave did realise that the actual picture he was wanting to adjust, he couldn't find at the time. So he sent this one over, and we know that he's not going to use it, but it is very similar to the issues he's got on the other one. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah, the main issue is the trying to reduce the sky coming through the trees, so it's not so obvious.
Fine. Okay, Carl, sorry.
Okay, not a problem. So this was the original that we sent out. Okay, and there was no actual spec as to what he wanted to do, apart from the sky was an annoyance. Okay, so what I did was I had a look at it in terms of the obvious subject is the owl, and what we could do with the surrounding part that would allow us to get to an image that was requiring the minimum amount of work to do to make it look a lot better. And so very quickly, what I liked about this image was, can you see my cursor running up the trunk?
Yeah.
What I liked was the fact that we had this framework which almost followed the owl's wings. Okay, so what I did was I decided to, and there we go.
Yep.
Crop it that way. Okay, so now we accentuate the framing of the shape of the wings with the dark tree and also the dark leaves. There's lots of little annoying things around it, which I haven't addressed, like this particularly sharp piece of grass that needs cloning out. And there's also an out of focus piece which cuts through the owl's head and the eye. Okay, so I haven't addressed that at all. But what I've been looking at is how we could make the overall picture a little bit more focused on the owl, whilst only doing a little bit to the background sky. The skies normally, when you look at them, they'll be brighter up at the top here. And as you go down, they'll be darker. And what we're interested in doing is really getting rid of some of the noise of the sky that fits around here. Okay, this side of the picture is not too bad. So what I did, none of this is done to try and produce a quality print. It's just to illustrate what we were doing, what I was doing. Okay, so what you see now, if you look just under the bottom of the wing on the left, what I've started to do there, instead of trying to get rid of the bright spots underneath the wing, what I've decided to do is clone in more leaves to cover up the sky that's coming through. The idea being to leave everything underneath the owl itself just as forestry or grassland or whatever you like to call it, okay? But still leave the sky above the owl's body and head. That would still leave us with a problem down the wing here, where these spots are too high, okay? Now, I'm a simplistic guy at heart, and so what I decided to do was take some of the most basic things we can do. The cloning I told you about, cloning leaves, etc., and getting rid of it, and treating the owl as a separate subject, so selecting the owl as a whole, and then working on the owl. So what I did with the owl was to select the owl and to then do levels on the whole of the owl itself, and then do a little bit of sharpening. Okay, you will note when I show you this that I've overdone the sharpening, but as this wasn't my print and I wasn't preparing for a competition, I ran out of patience to do any more. But what we tried to do then was to, as you can see now, I've cloned out a lot of this light underneath the wing, and it's almost free of any highlights. That leaves us with this area here. And to be quite honest, the way I managed that was to a mixture of cloning and to burn in the bits of sky so they became less very pale blue or white. And some of it is white and some of it's pale blue. And so I just took the burn tool, okay, and using the highlight, well, let me show you where is the burn tool gone. I've lost the burn tool. I'm using a different computer.
Magnifying glass thing above the T.
Halfway down on the far left, just over.
That's
Oh,
it.
there we
You're on the dodge, so you need to switch it.
Right.
That's it. You need to switch the dodge.
Just
Okay. And so what you end up with is this up here, the menu that's particular to the burn tool. And I picked a relatively small brush size. That's probably a right one. But all you're interested in it is taking the edge off the highlights. So you don't want to touch the midtones or the shadows because you immediately start to pick up the areas around the hotspots. And if you try doing levels on just one of those hotspots and you try and intensify it, what you tend to find is that the edge of the greens and the sky start to intensify in color. So you end up with a darkish blue ring running around the hotspot. So all we're doing here is modifying the highlights, and I rarely have my exposure at more than 10%. So I dropped it down to 10%, okay? And I protected tones where it's possible. And then I just burnt in these areas just a little bit. And you need to keep on going back to the original just to see how much you're burning it back. But you can see with this that we have quite a few of these areas now which are no longer white, but they're grayish blue. And so if I turn that off and you look at this area of the wing here, you can see how it's taking the brightness down.
Yeah.
Not completely, but just enough that it no longer has the same effect on the subject. Okay. Now, if I add in now the owl with both the sharpening and the levels, then quite suddenly you illuminate this thing. I think it's overdone, particularly on the sharpening front. But suddenly you illuminate the owl, and it really stands out against the background. So now the highlights to the left there are of little consequence with respect to the owl. And you've still got the brightest of the highlights up in the top where you would expect them. But you've taken the attention away from the edge of the owl. You've really given it a nice base to work on underneath where you've got rid of all the hot spots. Okay, and that's about it. The rest of it is just tidying up all these things. The sharpness of the front, I actually quite like. It shows that you're down amongst the grasses and you've got this very fine leafed thorn or whatever it is here, and you've got these grasses here. Apart from where it intersects with the owl, I have no problem with that at all. It just shows you are down low, you've got a nice depth of field, and you're really focusing on the owl. Okay, so that was my take on the whole situation. Keep it simple and only attack those areas of the sky where it starts to detract from the owl itself. Comments?
Okay.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
After wing flap later, you probably wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
If he just flown forward a bit, another foot, then perfect picture.
Do it properly next time, Dave.
Well, it was on motor drive, so I've got them every about 10th of a second, and I've got some better ones which I may use. But the big problem was the sky, and I think the thing you pointed out is the range, the highlights, because I kept getting, when I was trying to deal with the sky, a little ring round all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's, I just could not find a way around that.
Both Peter and I went in with that approach, and we had that problem with rings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it came down to the very crude, burn it in.
I did wonder, could you, if you did another layer and then invert it and then paint out. I don't know, do you have to have the layers lined up? Did you move the second image up and then be able to sort of line it up so that you could paint the leaves in? Just do over the hotspots.
Yeah, well, I'll show you what I mean, let me show you what I did as well. I mean, but basically I sent it to Colin and to Gary. Did you want to unshare, Cole?
Yep. How do I unshare?
Oh, I don't know.
At the top, mouse up to the top of the
Go up to the
screen
top of
and
your
look in the middle.
the green bit.
The green bit. I
At the
haven't
very
got it.
top, is it? You got something
Oh,
yours?
here.
If you,
Stop share. Sorry.
Yeah,
It was
Okay.
down the bottom.
fine.
oh,
A minute.
oh,
I think that's what I want. Oh, hang on. Share. Yeah, so what I did, I sent out the picture to Colin and to Gary, and Colin very kindly tried to help, and he's gone through and shown you what his idea. We didn't discuss it really, apart from the fact that what David said was he wanted to darken down the light bits. So Colin had to go. Gary rang me and basically decided it was too much work.
Lazy bugger.
Yeah, and I suggested that maybe he could have done it with luminosity masks, but I don't think you can. But so what we sort of came up with was very similar, interestingly, to what Colin came up with. So that was your starting point, and then, like Colin said, using a selection of the clone stamp and the patch tool, yeah, I sort of went through and just cloned out some of the leaves and some of the lighter bits. Yeah, just by patching it and doing your stamps. You know how to do those, okay, Dave, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was sort of, I mean, I obviously haven't finished it. And then likewise to what Colin did, I selected the owl and then just brightened that up a bit. Obviously that's too bright, but I just did that to show you. And that was literally a case of just going on select subject, and that will pretty much pick out the owl. See where it's just gone over a bit at the bottom here, and underneath it's not gone on there. So it was just a case of tidying that up. So I did save that. Where did I save that? I saved the selection. Load selection owl. So there, that was where I selected it. And so then use that to just brighten it up. And of course, like Colin did, you could have then gone in and sharpened that. But that then gets the owl to stand out from the rest of the trees. And so we did that. And the other thing that I suggested then was to, if you invert that selection of the owl and then do a copied layer, you can isolate the background from the owl, and then I put a mask on it and blurred this piece behind it. Yeah, can you see? I mean, I've overdone that, but let's just get a tool. I've just gone in and blurred the background on the mask. It's probably overdone it, but you can obviously
get the idea though.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the opacity down to 54. You put it up to 100. Yeah, and obviously that's pretty much over the top, although it might be what you might want to do it that much, but that's another option. So that was just yeah, that was just some of the ideas that we had. And the other idea which Gary had, which I had a little go at, I didn't have what you could do is make a brush tool out of an individual leaf, maybe not from this picture, but maybe get another picture of a leaf. You could make a brush tool and actually go and brush on top of the white bits. Sort of that. I mean, that's over the top and the wrong color, but that was just to give you an idea of just getting in with a brush tool, maybe of the shape of a leaf, and just stamp across the bits to sort of fill in some of those white bits.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wandering off into looking at all the tutorials and that, and could try and smart objects and blending and all sorts, and you're like, this isn't working.
No. So I mean, so those are some ideas for you.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah, good.
And
thanks.
I think, I mean, the other thing was, I don't know if anybody has realised, or probably they have, but what I tried to do, I did try. The latest version of Photoshop CC has got a new, where is it?
Did you notice there's a sky underneath subject as well?
Yeah.
That's different to the other one.
There's a where is it? Sky replacement. So under edit, they've now got sky replacement. Now I don't know if anybody's loaded their latest version up. This has come out this week, Gary, wasn't it? Yeah.
Steve, was it the weekend?
Last Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody's had a look at it. I'll give you a little demo of it because I was playing with it this afternoon.
Please.
Yeah, and so what they've done on the very latest. Let me get the right picture up. They brought out a new sky replacement tool, and what I thought I'd do was I'll pick up. This is a picture I just took randomly of some geese flying over, I think it was over Portsmouth last week, and you just think that's a bit of a bland sky, and obviously we've all been through over the past few years with using the things like the Magic Wand tool to pick up the sky. Yeah, if I can get that. So you could go the Magic Wand and press the sky, and sort of it'll select it, but then you look down here and I haven't selected it very well. And then you got all the individual geese. What they've got now under edit is sky replacement. So you click that, and you can then up the top box here, just loading it. You've got a selection of skies which they've supplied, and sunsets and spectacular. What you can do, obviously, because once you get to, if you're going to use an image for a competition, it's going to have to be your own photo. You can actually load your own skies. I'll show you how to do that in a sec. But what you can do is you can see it's already chosen that sky, which I already selected. You just click that another sky. Look at it. Just automatically replaces the sky. So you can go down, pick out a sky that you've got, and straight away it's replacing it.
It's good, isn't it? I reckon that's probably a, you know, Luminar 4's got that, hasn't it, Pete? Maybe it's.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's been out a while on Luminar 4, so they probably thought we need to do something.
Yeah, I think
cool.
it's probably a bit of that. It's probably a bit of the fact that Affinity is getting so popular, and I think they're probably looking at it thinking we need to up a game here.
Yeah, keep up with
it. Yeah, I think it was Luminar 4.
Yeah, you're quite right. It was Luminar. It's no accident their parent company is called Skylum, and That's one of their big selling points is that you can replace skies. You can buy sky packs with dozens of them in.
Yes, yeah,
Also, it does change grain features as well. So if you put the sunset in there, it temper down the colours on the grain. So
yes,
That's correct, yeah.
yeah. Well,
whereas Photoshop, this one just does.
just does the sky, but then you need to adjust. You can use. I haven't had a good look at it yet, but you can obviously
No,
use.
it does say there's some foreground adjustment as well.
Yes,
It does actually tweak
this
the
is
foreground.
the sliders up here. You can see them
the
okay,
difference
can't you?
is the difference is if you accept that, you actually get a bunch of layers and masks that you can then play with afterwards.
Yeah.
Whereas Luminar, it's just kind of done.
Yes. So you can tone.
Flip the sky there as well.
Sorry.
You can flip the sky as well.
Yeah, and you can you can change the temperature of it.
Yeah.
And you can adjust the how the edge fades in, or whether it's nice and sharp. You can shift the edge as well. Obviously, depending.
You haven't got a horizon there, have you? So
not really. No, that's the thing. You get a horizon, it'll pick that up. But that's something that's just come out this past week. And like you say, if you then okay that, see down the right, you've got, as Terry says, you then end up, you've got your background layer, and then you've got your foreground color that you can turn on or off. And then the foreground light, so you can play with that. And then the sky itself. And it might be that you want to reduce the opacity of that, and you can just pull that down.
Did you try that on Dave McGill's photograph?
Yes, I did. That's what I was getting around to. I tried it, and it came back, and it said, "Well, I'll show you what it says."
It said can't find enough sky.
Pretty much. In a nutshell.
It said you're joking.
It basically said, "What sky?" Edit, sky replacement, and it's going to have a little think about that.
yeah,
Found a bit.
yeah, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Oh, maybe it did find it then.
Yeah, expand it.
Right. Okay, I will do.
Find a more consistent sky, a dark sky with that much pattern, or maybe the blue one. Yeah.
Maybe that one. Right. Let's.
Only thinks that little bit of sky is there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it
it's
does.
confused.
I can move it.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah. I wonder if I can. I bet I can't enlarge. No, you can't. I don't know if you can enlarge that.
Clone it.
Can you sort of drag? Can you click and drag it and make a big box?
Well, I'm just trying to do that.
Why would you bother with that?
Well,
There you go. Yeah.
Could you not paste it to a separate background and then blend it?
well,
That's what I was saying earlier, Kerry.
yeah. Well, possibly, but then it's not going to be a lot different to really what we were doing with tidying it up. The problem you get is, as Colin said, when you get into this detail here, when you start trying to get rid of the highlight, you get terrible.
Yeah.
Have you tried select by color range?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a horrible halo around.
Yeah, that's the sort of problem I was getting. I couldn't get it.
You know what you showed? You know the other bit you sent me, Dave?
Yeah.
Sort of like it. Yeah, exactly the same. I think.
I have a suggestion for something to try.
Yeah. On this.
Basically, you can. Well, if you like, but
yeah.
Basically, if you select that whole image.
Yeah.
And copy it, just select all and Control C or whatever.
Yeah.
And then if you do a new layer with it's a plus, isn't it? Not the folder. Yeah. And then add a mask to that.
Hey?
Add a mask to the layer.
Right.
With the Japanese flag, and then if you, I'm not sure if you have to alt click on the mask layer. Try alt clicking so you're editing the mask and do Control V to paste. And there you've got a mask for that layer where the brighter the image was to start with, the more
What
unmasked
actually?
it is.
Sorry, should I have that image in the
No,
mask?
no,
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is that you've created a mask now where the bright bits of the image are going to have more effect of whatever you put on that layer.
Right.
So if you painted, if you filled the layer with black,
Yeah.
see, it's had much more effect on the bright bits of the image.
Yes.
I'm not suggesting you fill it with black as a way of doing it, but
No.
if you do some
I'm glad about that. Hang on.
well,
Let's
yeah, but
let's fill it with the blue.
What about a luminosity mask then?
No, Gary tried that. It couldn't get it to work.
Oh,
It would only work on the very brightest bit, won't it? And that'll only change it. It won't be enough to.
oh, but on luminosity mask, can't you adjust the center point where everything below it goes black and everything above it goes white? Because I've used luminosity mask where you adjust that tipping point, and then you just end up with a black and white mask.
Oh, right.
Anyway,
Anyway,
a suggestion.
just a thought.
It's something
Yeah.
I haven't seen much is creating a mask from the actual image,
Yeah.
so that whatever you put on that layer is most of.
Yes. Well, there's
Right,
another
parts of
option
the
for you,
image.
Dave.
Which is what your problem is, isn't it? So if you were just burning, it might actually help you with the burning if you had that mask created from the image on the layer that you burned.
Yeah, that would work.
Hmm.
Anyway, it's something I sort of came across and I hadn't seen used much before.
No.
I didn't really think about it that you get a black, a monochrome mask just by cutting and pasting your image into the mask layer.
Mask, yes. Well, it might be something that you could have a little go at, perhaps. Maybe we ought to
Well,
make
you
that.
can definitely be sloppy because it's not going to affect the dark part. So if you up the contrast of the image first before you copy it as well, or possibly you could up the contrast, do a contrast layer on the mask. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be a bit harsher.
Hmm.
Anyhow.
Yeah. Of course, there's always the option that the photographer takes the picture without all these white bits in the background. Had you considered that option, Dave?
No, they came from God.
Oh yeah. So anyway, that's a couple of. 1 minute. Let's just stop the share a sec.
What each individual can do with it.
Yeah, well, I wonder about. Yeah, I mean, I could always send that out to everybody and see if they wanted to have if anybody else wanted to have a go. Don't know. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts?
Interesting.
Yeah. Where is Dave? He's up there, isn't he? So, has that helped you, Dave?
Dave doesn't mind.
Yeah, it's good. Excellent. Yeah. Lots of alternatives.
I'll send it out to everybody and see if anybody else comes up with anything.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Good.
Just one other thought. Not necessarily the solution, but an option is if you've selected the owl, then you select the inverse. What you did was blur it. You could also darken it a bit, couldn't you? So you could lighten the owl, darken the background. And then you could, if necessary, if you thought you got the tree too dark, for example, you could, paint that effect out.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think it's obviously I don't know what you're trying to get out of it finally, Dave. Are you just trying to?
Well, I'm trying to get the owl as obviously the feature subject, and to minimise the background. And to me, it was particularly. I think Colin pointed out that higher up the sky is there, but how to minimise it around the owl and then select the owl and work on the owl to give it a bit more detail, a bit more contrast, and make it stand out. That's good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, that's okay. Anybody else got any thoughts on it? What they thought they could have done with it?
If you're doing a whole layer adjustment, you're probably better off using a curve to bring the bright bits down.
Yeah.
if you're applying it to the whole image.
Yeah, use a what? Use a curve.
Well, if without doing an extra, go on to, I don't know, you turn that off.
Yeah, I'll turn that off. I'm on a background copy now.
Image adjustments. Adjustment curves.
Curves.
And if you grab the top, if you grab hold of the curve near the top right,
there,
and yeah, a bit in from there, and then click on it and drag it to the right. I think you add in a point. Is that not showing because you've got the selection or something? Or you're not
wait a minute. Yeah, hang on.
You're on the wrong layer.
Yeah, just a second.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you're doing the curves.
I've got something selected. I don't know what.
No, you're on the wrong layer. You're on the unselect. You're not. You weren't applying it.
Yeah. What do we say?
Image adjustments.
Curves. Okay. About there. Move it to the right.
Would it be?
And we'll do that, and then do another one, and bring the middle back up again. Bring another point, and so that it's sort of basically if you 45 degrees most of the way, and then goes up steeper, it'll take the brightest bits down without much change in the rest of it.
Would it be?
Go. Yeah.
Go on.
Well, play around. Go on.
Yeah.
Would it be worth trying to do the red, green, and blue channels separately? It's under RGB.
Yeah.
So do the what the green.
Sounds like you haven't used curves much, but
no, you haven't.
No, it sounds like you haven't.
No, I haven't. No, I've never. No, I must admit it's something I've never really used.
Pete,
well, basically, it's
while you're there, try auto. A lot of people won't bother. Is that auto?
Yeah, there's auto. No, that isn't auto. I'll come out of that.
No, it's gone the other way.
Yeah, it's gone the other way.
Why do you use to move the white point across the top? Why is the white point fixed?
Bring the white point across.
Yeah, just
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or down.
How's that? That's darkened, isn't it? It's
Darkened the overall thing and left the sky bright.
Yeah.
One of those points operates the white side of it.
You then invert it then?
Yeah. That'll invert the whole lot, Truth.
Hey?
I mean, basically the curve is just a transfer function for how bright things are.
Yeah.
If it's a straight line, then they map 1-to-1, and you can bend it.
Right.
So I mean, do something drastic, and you'll see what it looks like.
Oh.
You can actually.
That was a bit too drastic, I know.
So, yeah, but there was actually a photographic technique that did that to put an inverse function halfway through the photo. It's even got a name that I don't remember.
Pasteurization.
Yeah, it's something Malcolm used to always want to show us curves, didn't he? And everybody went, "Oh no, we don't like curves." And I you know what? I don't think I've ever used them.
Peter.
Yes.
Peter, if you go back to the original problem, right from the very start.
Yeah.
Why did you go to filter, camera rule?
Yeah.
Right. Wait till it comes up.
Yeah.
But you would have just one layer first for it, and then go to highlights and dim down the highlights and see if that takes just the sky down a bit.
Okay.
You'll take all the brightness out of the owl as well.
No. Not if you put a layer down and then brush it. Put a layer. Put your layer first. camera raw, highlights, select a brush and go over the highlights.
That's good.
You know,
if you go back there, Peter, you've really raised the blues rather than the brightness.
What's that there? What I'm doing
Yeah,
on the highlights?
yeah. To pull it to the left,
Yeah.
and what happens is the bright light becomes a light blue.
Yes. Yeah. So that's.
Try the
that.
one.
it's taking it down.
Yeah, it has, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you put a layer first, then take the highlights down,
Yeah.
then a layer mask, then
Yeah.
a brush, and brush over just those bright bits.
Bits.
That's all you'll
Right, okay.
alter.
So do
Can I
that.
just say, when I've tried to do things like that before, when I've tried to put a layer down first and then go into camera raw and do something on camera raw, all I can see is the mask. Where am I going wrong?
So click back on the photograph.
Sorry?
Click back on the image.
On the main image?
That's it.
on the
That's
image on
it.
the
You got it
icon?
there, Peter.
Yeah.
But you've got to be very, very. You've got to do it very carefully.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you could then go
And
in.
you will get rid of those highlights.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was your problem, Trudy, but if you've got the mask selected, then you're actually running camera raw on the mask, not the photograph. Perhaps that's what you had
I
problems with.
see. So when Gary says click on the image, does he mean the main image I've got on the screen or the image on the little icon?
Sorry, what was your
You
question?
use the
Trudy?
icon
So-
on the layer.
Yeah. That's another option then, Dave. What we did.
At,
Very
at
much.
the,
So
at the
what did you
moment,
say,
Peter's got
Trudy?
the mask. At the moment, Peter's got the mask selected.
Mhm.
So if I'm pretty sure if he runs camera raw on that, it's applying the filter to the mask.
Let's try it.
Filter.
Filter.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
it.
I got it. Thank you.
Everyone.
It's good doing Photoshop with 6 people sat on your shoulder, isn't it?
Is that the problem, Trudy? Is that
Yes,
what
that
you?
is the problem.
Yeah, you're bringing
Yeah,
up the
well, that-
mask.
Yes.
And that's
So
so if you
if I can't come out of that, Trudy, you see here on the right,
Yeah.
the mask is active. You need to click on the layer. Yeah.
So simple when you know how, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I thought we taught you this before. Have you forgotten?
Can I forget anything? Don't we?
It's so slow.
I think one of the lessons from today is that there are 20 ways to do almost anything.
At minimum.
20 ways to forget it.
Yeah. Well, this is the other thing, Trudy. What I'd like to know is what we've gone through tonight. Will you have forgotten it later on?
I will, but you've told me they're all recorded, so I can look at them later.
They are all recorded. You are correct.
Thank you.
So that's
When we finally get back to the clubhouse, we
yes.
need a mechanism to record all this.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to look at, because I think if we ever get back in the new year, we won't all be back there because some people won't want to come along, but we won't want them to miss out.
Mm.
So we'll find a way of recording them and then putting it up on. Well, we've obviously got the YouTube channel to put it up on, and we've got a very keen video taper in Ray. So we've got somebody to do the videoing, and we've got somewhere to put it.
Peter,
Sounds good.
Yes, Colin.
can you just enlarge that one again so that we can see what the problem is with the grass over the eye, just to see if it can be rectified?
Yeah, just a sec. Can do.
Really large.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
I mean, he's
come
not going to actually use this one simply because he's got some better options.
Yeah, but you could do it. It can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So would everybody like a copy then to give it a whirl and see if they could come up with
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
just a little job for everybody, little task?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Be good fun.
Okay. And then in a couple of weeks' time, we've got a couple of weeks, and we can all have a show of what whoever's done it can have a show us how they did it or what they did.
I don't know about that.
Or you can send it back to me and I'll show it if you're not too keen on getting it up on your own screen. Yeah, so anything else anybody wants Photoshop wise? Okay, one at a time.
Some of the other places I participate in have things like that. We call them post-processing challenge.
Yes, yeah,
So
we have done it in the past. The last time
yeah.
we did it was the church, wasn't it? Is that right, Colin? We did that, didn't we? We sent everybody, gave everybody the same picture.
Yeah.
And they all had to come up with their own version of it, and it's quite interesting the difference in interpretation that everybody has.
When was it you sent it out, Peter?
What's sorry? When will I?
When was it that you sent the church out?
Oh, 3 years ago.
Oh, that long ago. Okay.
Yeah, it was some time ago now.
So it's a very regular thing then.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, maybe regular, but not frequent.
The issue we have, Dave, is not everybody, you know, is as keen as some of the people we've got now to get on and have a go at it, because there's obviously, as we've seen, there's no real right or wrong way of doing anything in Photoshop. Everybody's got their own way of going through and adjusting and processing the images, and it's just what you get used to using, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I got Terry there. It's obviously uses curves quite a lot. I honestly don't think I've ever used them. I've opened it up before, but it was a thing we all seemed to shy away from, Colin, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think we just.
How'd you manage without curves then?
I don't know. Well, just using other things, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you say, there's.
Actually, you can use levels. If you're just doing the top and bottom of the curves, levels is similar. But...
Yeah.
But Peter, you clearly need my talk next week.
Well, I am looking forward to it greatly, Keith. Trust me. Because
I've got another.
I hesitated to suggest it because I thought you'd all be experts, but
no. The majority,
it looks like a learning curve.
Yes. No, the majority of it. I remember when I joined the club, I one of the first talks Malcolm did. I think it was Malcolm, or might have been Colin, did it on Photoshop when it was back Photoshop 7, I think, or might have even been CS2 or something like that. And somebody suggested curves. Why don't we use curves? And you know, I think they got banned from the club after that.
Oh dear.
Well, if we seem to have always they certainly wouldn't understand curves.
Eh?
If people didn't understand levels, which they didn't in those days, then they wouldn't understand curves.
Yeah. You got to remember, it's only 18 months ago we've moved away to actually turning the computer on.
I've got another small tip, which actually comes from the history brush.
Yeah.
That I didn't understand after the last meeting. Don't know. Do you want to have a go with it, Peter?
Yeah. I'll talk you through something. Tell me what to do.
Yeah, well, it's just when I decided I ought to know what the history brush does, I sort of looked online and found some other ways of using it. Because basically all your history is multiple versions of the same. You know, every time you do a change, you get a copy of the image with that change applied. That's your history, and the history brush actually lets you paint from one copy to another. That's its function.
Right. Okay.
So. Are you going to run it up?
Hey?
And are you going to run it Photoshop and I'll talk you through an example?
Yeah,
it's not complicated.
Can you see it?
Yeah. No, you're not sure.
I'll tell you what I'll do. First. I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
Because I've got it on my screen, okay?
Well, come round to your house.
Yeah, well, we'll come round. I'll stick the kettle on. Only 5 of you, though. Oh, no, 4 of you. There's 2 of us here already. Right. And where's Dennis Peters? Are you there? Is he there?
He's got a shy.
Yeah, I know. He's just put up on the chat, and Eastleigh have scored.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Thank you.
Right.
Cheers.
Okay.
It might be less confusing with a new copy of the image or something, or open it
Yeah.
again.
Do you want me to?
Not a new layer, but there's just so many layers and so much history already.
Right.
isn't
Okay.
there?
Do you want? Let me just.
Oh,
Let me give you another one. So use that.
yeah.
That
Okay.
better?
Yeah. Well, if you, yeah.
Just a sec. Let me just. I'll get rid of these. Let me just delete what's on there.
Don't know. Did you want to brighten the owl up a bit? Was that what you were doing?
No, I was darkening it down.
Okay.
Anyway,
well, that'll work. Do a image adjust, and may as well try your curves again. And then tweak that to make the owl darker. So you want to go the other way. You want to pull the line down a bit, don't you? From the middle, say. Try it. Yeah.
From
so
the middle?
make
Do you
that
think middle.
Well, make it obvious, and then it'll be a bit more obvious what you've done. So you made it very dark now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So now
you see that?
Yeah. So accept that. Yeah.
Okay.
And now go to your history, which you've got up there. Pick your history brush first. Yeah. But on your history.
Yeah.
Click on the last one. You got the curves. Click to the left. That checkbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go back to the one at the top, the snapshot at the top. Make that the
one.
active one. No, not the button. Just on
the open.
Select the whole thing, not the box. Just make it the active layer, the top one. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
And now you got.
Oh, wait a minute. Back to there. I'll go back to there. So that's where I'll just delete those layers.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
No, we've lost. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now have you got is the brush tool working? What have you got with the tool? Normal mode. Yeah.
History brush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Bit bigger if you like. And now paint over the owl. See, that's painting from the layer that you put the curves on, back onto the original.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't matter how much you paint; it won't ever get any darker than that.
Than what it was.
The curve adjustment that you did.
Yeah.
So basically, that's a quick way of making an adjustment without needing to add a new layer and a mask for it.
Right.
Because that's kind of done now. It's using
the background.
Hey.
Can you do highlights in the background the same way?
Can you do the background in the same way?
The highlights in the background.
Yeah. I mean, any part of the image that you want. But it's like selectively applying.
Yeah.
It's selectively applying the adjustment.
Yes.
So it's the other way of doing it would be to create a new layer and apply the adjustment, and then create a layer mask and paint on the layer mask, and then you'd have to merge the layers back together if you wanted to get rid of it. So it's kind of a quick way of doing that without having to create the masks and the layers and merge them together again.
Okay.
But that's one of the things that people seem to use a history brush for quite often.
Right.
And the other thing, which is what Gary actually does, is if you get turn off the duplicate layer. Yeah, so we're back where we are. If you use the history brush, set the source. Click on the left-hand side, so you've got the same. In the history panel again.
Yes. Right.
The one that's selected, select that as a source for the history brush. So the checkbox on the one above that. I think this will work.
Okay.
And now you're painting onto itself. You've got the wrong layer selected.
Yeah, I want the background layer.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So wait a minute.
You want to. All right. Next one down. So basically, you set the source for the brush to where you're painting it to. Now, if you paint, it won't do anything. Try it.
Yeah.
Because you just paint onto itself. But if you change mode, the blending mode for the brush.
Yeah.
No, top.
Oh,
not the layer, the brush mode. Top left.
Yeah.
From normal. where it says normal, change
Yes,
it to
yeah.
overlay.
Yeah.
Say overlay or screen or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
overlay. Now if you paint it,
It's
make it, it's up in the contrast, isn't it? Try painting the bird.
Multiply.
Yeah.
Darken.
So basically what that's doing is painting a blend mode onto the image.
right.
That's all it's doing. It's painting the image on. You'd get the same effect if you duplicated the layer and
Yeah.
select the layer blend mode, but it lets you paint a blend mode onto an image,
Right.
which is and that's basically what Gary was doing to do his
Yeah, was
blend modes
multiply
onto,
and
onto
screen
one
are the
image.
two.
Do what, Gary?
Multiply and screen. Screen
Right.
Yeah.
brightens,
Yeah.
multiply darkens.
Right. Okay.
If you want to quickly go through it, duplicate the bottom layer again.
From that starting point, we'll come back. To the
Yeah,
beginning.
now go back in the history. Go right back to the beginning. Yeah, to open, and then turn
Let me
those. Just turn them off.
those
It'll be
two
all
off.
right. And duplicate that one.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can, and then you just change the blend mode for the top one, and you'll see all for the layer, not the brush, the layer.
Right.
And
To
you just scroll through them, and it's just you can see all the effects now.
yeah.
What all the blend modes would do with the brush. So some of them don't do anything. But that's a quick way of showing you what the blend modes will do. So it's screen, is it? And overlay, make it brighter. Multiply, increases
Screen's
contrast, doesn't it?
brighter, multiplies darker. Gary
Yeah.
said. Yeah. There's multiply.
Well, actually, if you do difference, it makes it completely black. But then you could change, for example, because it's just subtracting one difference.
Yeah.
So it's completely black because
Yeah.
it's subtracting one image from another. But if you change the opacity, you can bring some of it back now. But like I said, there's 20 ways of doing anything in Photoshop. But
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Which is its strength, and I suggest probably one of its weaknesses.
Yeah.
I'd
But
rather
anyway,
have-
that was just a bit more explanation of what the history brush actually does. It
right.
paints from one version of history onto another one
Yeah.
with a
Okay.
blend mode optionally.
That's good. Okie dokie. Anybody else got any tips they want to share?
Peter, if we come back to curves again, I've been
Yeah.
looking at some of Malt's old notes,
Yeah.
and the main reason he uses curves is because you can get more contrast with curves than when the slider runs out. I'll read it to you. Hang on a
Yeah.
minute.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. We mostly use it to add contrast when you want more contrast than the control slider in Canon Raw will give you.
Right.
So you can actually get more contrast by using curves.
Oh, okay.
That's if you want it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I use curves a lot for is white balance. If you pick up if you've got a decent bit of, or if you've got something that should be white,
Yeah.
pick up the right hand eyedropper on the pick up the right hand one,
Yeah,
That one.
that's right. Yeah.
and then click on something white or something that should be white. See how it's adjusted all of the colours. Now if you zoom out again, you'll find the white balance is better.
Yeah.
I use the white balance a huge amount.
Yes.
The other thing I do is if you do the down arrow where it says preset, you can work on one colour. So instead of working on everything, hang on, no, wrong one. There we are. Instead of RGB, so for example, the blue looks a bit weak. It wouldn't show in this photograph. You pick the blue and then you just grab the blue and ramp it right up.
Yeah.
With green.
You don't use the dropper, you just drag the curve.
You're a bit loud again, Dave.
Oh, all right.
You turn yourself off, Dave.
Is that
You're
better?
right, you're right.
Is that better? Is that
Yeah,
better?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
You should
Not much.
You should listen to yourself in Zoom. You can do that under settings. You can play your own audio back to you.
I thought I was. I'll have to put my hearing aids in, but I can't get those in with the bloody headphones.
You're all right. You're not too loud.
Don't forget, don't forget the tack tool.
Do you?
The tack tool. When you're in curves, down in the bottom left.
That.
Oh yeah, to pick the black as well.
Click on that and then go to what you want to darken or lighten. Click on it, hold it your key down and drag it over to where on the image. Go on, yeah, and then you can darken or lighten that color.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's the same as Infinity. They've got the picker.
It shows up on the curve as well what you're adjusting.
Right.
And if you end up with one of the dots, you've got too many dots there, just click the dot that you don't want and then drag it off to the any margin and just drag it away and chuck it away.
Oh, right.
That's it.
That's
it. Like that.
And then you can just get, if you've cocked up a dot, you can chuck it out.
We've got some curve experts here.
Yeah.
I use it all the time, especially for white balance.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Well,
can do white balance in Camera Raw as well, though, can't you?
Yes, the curves tool in Camera Raw is identical.
Yeah.
Well, no, just the white balance.
Oh yeah, white balance with the dropper.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
I don't know if you've ever taken photo. I'll give you an example. If you've ever taken photographs on a bus, like when you're on tour or something like that, they all got weird tinted windows.
Yes.
So what I do is immediately take a photograph of grey tarmac through the window.
Yeah.
And if I get time, I'll set my camera up for that to be my grey card. And if I don't, I just use it as a grey card with curves in Photoshop or Lightroom.
Right.
And instead of getting these weird sort of greeny, bluey, weird window colours, it converts it straight back to reasonable white balance.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a pro would send the missus outside with a grey card.
If I tried that with my late wife, I'd have been walking.
If your wife wasn't late, you might end up divorced.
Oh, right, okay.
It'd be a comment loosely translated to, if you want that grey card outside in the, I suggest you get off the bus and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Or words to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as it happens, next week, Keith is very kindly going to do a presentation on curves and tones, Keith, isn't it?
Seems a bit of a risky thing to do, curves too. People may leave the club in droves.
No, you'll be all right. I'm waiting to learn something.
I'm not sure whether there's anything else to teach, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a case of you open the discussion next week.
Say that again, Dave.
I think it'd be a case of Keith's going to be opening the discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I think it's good.
About curves.
It's nice that different people have got different ways of doing things, and I think that's one way of learning different ways, isn't it? And then it's up to you, whichever you find easiest to use, and you're happiest with using is.
That's it. All part of your workflow.
Sorry.
All part of your workflow, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody. I mean, as we've seen before, everybody does it slightly differently, and it's really what comes down to the end result.
Now, if you watch some of these tutorials, they're always telling you something different, and oh no, I wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah. What was it this afternoon? That sky replacement. There is on YouTube. There's a good presentation done by Photoshop Cath. I'll send the link to that to everybody as well, because that goes through that sky replacement and how you can adjust it on Photoshop.
Yeah.
So I'll let me just.
For Ray, if he's thinking about buying a new camera, is he with us?
Right.
Yeah,
he's there.
Yeah, I'll put a bit in the, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, there's somebody that does a lot of tutorials about using cameras, And if you're going to buy a second-hand camera, got an idea of what you want, it might be worth viewing to see what it exactly how to use it.
Sounds good.
And it's called Michael the Maven.
Okay.
And you know, there's loads of different cameras he uses, and
is that on YouTube, Gary?
Yeah.
The thing is, Ray, how much have you got to spend?
Well, I'm going to budget for about £1,500. I've got a Canon 650D at the moment, and I suppose I was chatting to Keith this afternoon. You know, probably look at maybe going mirrorless. I'm not sure yet, but I do. There are some features that I do want, like a swivel screen on the back and stuff like that. And also, I'm not sure whether to go into the full frame or stay with the crop. You know, I'm not quite sure on the benefits of going that route. But yeah, so £1,500, maybe a higher end mirrorless, then might have to be second hand. You know,
if you're staying with Canon and you want to be mirrorless, and you want crop body, the only one they've got is the M mount, and that's got specialist lenses, and there are only a handful of lenses for the whole system. If you go full frame, then you can use EF lenses with an adapter, which costs about £20 on eBay. Or you can buy the RF lenses, which are far more superior.
Okay.
Canon are pouring all their. I don't know if anybody else is following Canon rumors.
No.
They're really useful if you're a Canon enthusiast. But what they just put out the latest information on Canon's lineup of new lenses next year. Every one of them is an RF lens. There's virtually no more EF lenses being worked on.
Wow.
I sold everything that had EF mounts, and apart from two lenses. One is a macro lens, which is really good, and it doesn't matter whether it's a bit heavy. And the other one is one of these tilt and shift lenses, which is so specialized. I don't know why I bought it in the first place, but that's a separate issue. But RF lenses, I can get. I've just ordered the 100 to 500, which is more compact and less weight than the 100 to 400 EF.
Yeah.
And what it means with the wide angle lens, I can get from 15 to 500 millimeters with 3 lenses, and they'll all go in one messenger type camera bag. And it's not as heavy as my wallet was before I started buying it.
One of the other things a few people have mentioned tonight is about the triptych competition. And what I'll do is, like I say, Keith's going to do a presentation next week on tones and curves. I'll also go through and we'll do a little bit on triptychs, and what I'll hope to try and do before next Tuesday night is get some templates. I don't know if anybody's got any templates for Photoshop already made, but I'll try and get some templates drawn up and sent out to you, so that you can use those to put your photos in. But here is just a few examples. I sent some out, but here are a few more of examples from the New Forest Camera Club. So, I mean, it's pretty much down to the individual. You've got a license to do whatever you want, really, as long as you've got 3 photos. I mean, this one was called Legs 11.
Really?
You know what? I've never worked that one out.
No, but the title says it all. And then you got, like, see, someone's put 3 different frog pictures in there, so you don't really need to put them
in frames.
In frames. I think that was the one I sent you a copy of. And that's just another one you had. I think that went out. So you got 3 different pictures overlapping. That's another hour one. That's the flower one you had. Oh, that's on to something else now. So that's just a few examples. So next week, perhaps I'll just go through and we can just have a look at that on Photoshop, because I think one or two people mentioned earlier on tonight before everybody joined that they were struggling a bit on the layout. I don't know if anybody's got any triptych templates, have they, from Photoshop?
I'm sure there's some in Photoshop somewhere.
Right. Well, that's handy then. I'll have a look.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll have a look as well.
This afternoon, Keith very kindly showed me some ways of putting together frames quick, you know, whatever size you want to do on Affinity.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Send them to me, Ray.
Well, I don't know, maybe, when's the deadline, Pete? Is it
the 9th of November. So you got like,
not long.
What we got? 10 days, 11 days, 12 days, something like that. Got just under a fortnight.
It's not what I showed was not a template. It's a method of doing it.
Yes.
So one way of doing it would be to create a new canvas, put your guidelines on it so you can see where you want to, so you can measure things. Then you put three rectangles that represent the size of the pictures that you're interested in.
Yeah.
And then you clip the pictures to the rectangles. So
yeah,
there's a video for Photoshop that shows you how to do that online.
Yes, yeah, I've looked at
that. I just showed Ray that you can do it in Affinity too if you want to do it that way.
Yeah.
But actually, I mean, it depends on the size of photos people want to put together, really.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a case of putting 3 pictures that relate to each other inside the document, and you can pretty much lay them out how you want.
Yep.
They don't obviously all have to be the same size, and I guess how you present that is part of the competition, really. You know, if you come up with something that's a little bit unique, it'll be a bit different, won't it? Okay, so I think that's about all I've got. I don't know if anybody else has got anything.
Did you want to see that video?
Oh yes, sorry.
Kerry. Oh yes, please.
Yeah, Kerry mentioned that about an hour and a half ago, so that had slipped.
It's brilliant.
I'll make sure I do it right. Bear with me.
I'm beginning to realise I'm spending far too much time with Gary. I'll go and completely do lally. At the golf club Sunday afternoon, I went head over heels, threw myself on the deck.
You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Should we be having sound as well?
Sorry?
No.
Have you got a sound?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, when you share it, you might have to click a little tick, mate. I think it says use computer sound when you share it.
Get back to the beginning, mate.
Rewind.
Rewind. Hold on. I've got on view. Rewind. Hang on. Let's just find out where the sound is. Anybody idea? Any ideas?
Okay, if you try, you might have to reshare it. If you stop sharing,
yeah,
and then when you reshare it, and you choose the screen to share, there's a little box that says play audio from your computer. It's probably that one, mate.
Right. Stop sharing it. So that's easier said than done. Stop sharing it. Right.
That's it. Yeah, when you press share, down the bottom left, there's share computer sound, little tick box. Hopefully that'll do it.
Yeah, no.
That's it. Pump it up if you can. That's better. We're off. Oh, a bit of Frankie Hollywood. Brilliant. Yeah. He's got the skirt on. Love it.
I was going to say, your legs don't look like that anymore, Kerry.
Bloody battle scarred.
That's brilliant. Well, Kerry.
There's another.
Send it out, Kerry. Send it out, and we can all.
I will.
See it again properly.
Have you got this one? Oh, that's the wrong one. Shut up. Go away. Stop.
I've got a video for Ray of an extreme off-road cycling event where they cycled down a knife-edge ridge of a mountain.
Oh yeah, might be Red Bull Rampage maybe.
Yeah, scariest thing I've ever seen. I wouldn't even crawl along it on my arms and knees.
They're mad, aren't they?
I only showed you one, all the others fell down the cliff and killed themselves.
Yeah, it's a dangerous sport.
You want to go to Queensland in New Zealand, Ray? You can get a helicopter ride up the top of the mountain with your bike.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, adventure capital, isn't it? Amazing country.
No way. Don't know what the hell's going on here.
You do it.
Meeting. Spare. Shut that off. Oh, there it is. What is going on in the background? Shut up. Right. This is the one I started making with Melk. And this one of our illustrious committee members. Where's that coming from? Oh, no mind. Oh. Right. I started doing this with Mel some time back. If I can find it.
Which application is this?
I did these with Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've got to find the one I was talking to.
Jesus Christ, I have enough trouble doing photographs with Photoshop, let alone doing video. I'm impressed.
Compo.
Milk.
Unfortunately, Foggy wouldn't pose for us.
He wouldn't have it.
Full sport. So stop sharing.
That's the trailer. We want to see the full series of those three characters.
We didn't get that far.
Nice one, Kerry. Great to see some video action going on.
Yeah, well, I've got half interested in it, but it's time and it's getting out.
Yeah, is it Premiere Pro, Kerry, you use? Because that's quite a beast to use. It's an amazing bit of kit, though.
It was, I think it was After Effects.
Oh, okay.
And something else as well, and also Photoshop. A lot of it was done with Photoshop.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, I don't like buying programs if I can help it. But
Yeah, you did one of the ferry, didn't you, down at Portsmouth with Malk?
yeah,
Yeah, I've got that somewhere.
hang on. There's one I did at Calshot when we were over at Calshot, and there was one with the hydrofoil going out, and that was from day 10 key. And I've got a job to get that because that's hidden behind the desktop somewhere. So it'd be a bit too much to pull that one out. But yeah, we did get a few Gary in one of the pictures, but only a few. And it was sort of like he was.
But you spent all your life complaining that I'm always in you.
Well, that's the bloody trouble, isn't it? You are always in it, except when we want you in it.
Until you're needed.
Gary, do you mind putting in the chat the name of that YouTube chat again? Was it Michael someone?
I'll send it to you.
All right.
Superb. If you put addresses and files in the chat line, can you pick them up from there? Does anybody know? So if I put something from YouTube in the chat line.
Yeah, you can put it in there as a link, Gary, and it'll.
All right.
You can click on it and play it.
Right.
Yeah, just cut and paste it.
Yeah.
We always save the chat anyway, so if there's anybody
Yeah.
who wants anything from it.
Some good nuggets in there.
Yeah.
It was just something that one of my friends that moved to Malaysia, he was into promoting groups, play guitar and a few other things. And we actually did a video on one of the bands that played up in Osselbury. And he put that in, I think it went worldwide. One of the things he was doing, but he did most of the work. I did one camera, he did the other one, and he did most of the work. He did all the cutting, editing, and what have you. Because basically he wasn't at work, he just stayed at home all day and did bugger all. Which is what I do now. So.
I was going to say, you know what that's like.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Harry?
Yeah?
What was the name of that software you were using for your black and white?
That was ADP Pro.
ADP Pro.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay. Everybody covered what they wanted to cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okie doke.
Yes, thanks.
Well, obviously it'll be the same link for next Tuesday. And like I say, Keith's going to do his little bit on curves and tones, and we'll do a bit on the triptych ready for because then you've got, you'll have a week and a bit to get it in. It's a fortnight from now, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll still have 8 or 9 days left to get them in. I hope you've all had your thinking caps on. Think there's something different.
Mm.
I've lost mine.
Hey?
I've lost mine.
What? Your 3 photos?
Thinking cap.
Oh, your
thinking cap.
To put it back on.
Yeah, but to do that, you'd have to remember where you left it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we've seen tonight, I think we've all had a case of forgetting things, haven't we?
Well, when you go upstairs and then you're standing at the top step thinking, Christ, where am I up here?
Yeah. It's when I'm walking around like that with my glasses in my hand, looking for my glasses. That's when I know I've got a problem.
No,
I think
classic is when you put it on top of your head.
Yeah, I've done that before.
It's when you're lying. It's when you're lying at the bottom of the stairs, wondering how did I get here.
That's Jackie just before she goes to bed after having a skinful. Isn't it, Jack?
Ooh.
Can I ask a quick newbie question?
Yeah.
I've seen some of you on your cameras have got like this metal bracket on the side.
Yes.
What is that for?
It's for if you're sort of landscape photography using a tripod.
Ah, so it's a clamp of sorts, is it?
It's just to turn it from horizontal to vertical.
Ah.
Arcus, mate.
Just to, and you can only use it on certain tripods, I guess, right?
You buy one for your tripod if you're
Sturdy.
not Manfrotto or whatever they call themselves,
Manfrotto, yeah.
or Arca Swiss, and you just buy an L bracket that fits.
Oh, okay.
It means you don't get balls droop when you try to do a portrait by turning it on the ball joint. You just flip the
I've only
camera.
got the ball joint. So can I stick one of those on the side of a 650D?
Anything you like.
Yeah, it needs the tripod, the tripod head to match it.
The mount. Yeah, you need a different. All right. Awesome.
Just one more quick video before we go, just as a reminder, an old friend, if I can find it. It's moved it. Hang on. Need to share screen. No, maybe not. Sorry, I've lost everything now. Hello. There he is. Look there. He's moved up there. Am I back?
Put the link in the chat, Karen. We can have a better look at it.
I can put it at you, but it's right in the way at the moment. Oh, there you go.
You haven't shared the screen yet.
No.
So, whereas if you'd cropped in the raw development, and now I'll go up here into tone mapping, and I'll let it do its thinking. There are 2 or 3 ways you could work. One is you could go back in the history. That's fine, but what if you don't want to keep that affinity file at the end? Okay. Then it's.
All right, that's it. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
All right. Go back to where I was. I stopped sharing. Lovely job.
Brilliant. Cheers, Kerry.
Thank you, Kerry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I'll
bring your camera back soon.
Okay.
See you all next Tuesday, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep, thanks.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Thanks. Good night.
Bye, Jim Bob. Good night.
See you next Tuesday as well, Peter.
Oh, God.